Hey folks, welcome to the Skift podcast. This is your host, Rafat Ali. I'm not the regular host, as I think you know. I'm the CEO and founder of Skift, and sometimes I come in and interview people that I like and have chemistry with or some history with that are in the travel industry. And we have insightful and hopefully fun, because I think one of the things I've learned in life is that if you have fun while doing these conversations, it's a lot more interesting than just being interesting. And so I wanted to bring in somebody that I've known for a few years now, Muzzammil Ahussain, who is the CEO of Almosafer. It's a very interesting Saudi-based company that is part of the Sierra Group. Sierra we've known for many, many years. It's a very large, diversified travel conglomerate in different parts of different travel ecosystems. Almosafer happens to be the digital, primarily digital part of it. Muzzammil, am I describing it? Give me the 30-second pitch so that the world knows what Almosafer is.
Sure, thank you. So, for those of you who don't know, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, Rafa. Thank you for having me. Al-Musafer in Arabic means the traveler. So, for those that don't speak Arabic, Al-Musafer means the traveler. And Al-Musafer is the largest diversified travel and tourism company in the kingdom and the region. We are part of the Sierra Group, which is publicly listed. We focus on travel from, to, and within the kingdom. So all elements of the travel from, to, and within the kingdom, across all the different sectors. We are the largest travel and tourism company in the kingdom. Have been around for over 10 years, but part of the Sierra Group, which has been around for over 40 years, focusing on digital first, but at the same time making sure we're very localized and on the ground as well.
And the reason why I wanted to bring you is because there's tons of interest in the rise of Saudi on the global stage, rise of Saudi as a travel force on the global stage, and opening up. And obviously, our president in US just visited the region, went to Saudi. There's a lot of interest. You were at the Saudi US Business Council that happened there, and also there's some newsy elements to this, which is that your IPO is coming up. You've publicly talked about it, so it's not like we are disclosing anything material here. It's coming up imminently in the next, I don't know, 6 months to a year. Well, you tell me. And what do you hope to accomplish there? I also want to talk about Almosafer does this very good report once a quarter on, right? Is it once a quarter?
Once a
The
year, once a year.
Once a year on different trends. You just came out in the first quarter. That's what I meant. On Saudi travelers' trends, both domestic, regional, international, business versus leisure, etc., etc. So very in-depth thing based on your own data, which I always like and I learn tons. And so I figured we'll dive into this. And then your general sense of where Saudi's evolution, opening up, etc., is, as somebody who is obviously building, who was born in LA as a Pakistani American, correct?
That's correct.
And now have lived in the region for many, many years now. So let's start with a little bit of your personal journey. What made you jump from growing up in US? I mean, your family was an immigrant family into US, and what made you jump over to the Middle East?
Yeah, I mean, so my parents, my father moved to the U.S. In the late 1960s when he was young, leaving Pakistan for education, as many people back then did. Probably a lot of our people listening, their families moved to the U.S. Their parents moved during time for education and opportunity. And thankfully, with a lot of hard work and support, he was able to move, graduate, got his degree. He got married. My parents moved back to Florida and then to Texas and to California, and were able to build a very successful family business. We grew, and I was born and raised in California, as you said. I went to school in UC Irvine, and I became a consultant for Accenture in 2004. And I was a management consultant doing a lot of different roles across different upward, nothing to do with travel, to be honest, just finance, procurement, strategy. And I decided to go pursue my MBA at INSEAD. I was kind of I'm not really a pro long term, long study. I have a lot of respect for people who go through school for many years to get their PhDs and medical degrees. Unfortunately, for me, I'm not that kind of person. I would like to finish as fast as possible and move on. So I found INSEAD as a top caliber school, but it was really fast. It's a 10-month program, and I got accepted. Fortunately, when I was around in 2009, I started, and that started my, I would call it, international bug. Before that, I loved to travel, but I was not. I was primarily, living and working in the U.S. Had some international work, but primarily based in the U.S. So when I went to INSEAD, I got a chance to really brighten my eyes, broaden my horizons. Met a lot of great people from the region, from Europe, from Asia, and ironically, INSEAD was a. We started INSEAD during the financial crisis, so it was also an interesting time to be in school, and we learned a lot. We went through a lot. I lived in London for the summer, worked in London as an intern, and then I went back to the US after graduating. But I always had the international kind of itch in me still. So I was given an opportunity with Accenture to move out to the region, and at the same time maintain a lot of my friends from the region that I went to school with. And they continue to refer me to different people in Saudi and in UAE. And I was approached with an opportunity to help Al Tayyar at the time, which is now the Sierra Group, kind of launched their digital transformation into a digital OTA at the time. They were a legacy travel company serving Saudi government, but the new management team, what was brought in 2014, decided that we need to transform, and they started building out. We call it basically a corporate venture. So we're basically in Almosafer, and the rest of its unit was basically an in-house corporate venture. They acquired a small OTA named Almosafer, but brought it to life by building it in-house to invest in technology and digital marketing, and then we expanded. So it's been a great ride so far, but as you said, we still have a long way to go, and I think we're continuing our journey.
So let me put it a little bluntly for you. Why should we care? Why should the world care?
So I think there's two elements. There's three elements, I would say. One is from a purely travel trade ecosystem. Saudis are, whether they're traveling internationally or domestically or regionally, are very, very well liked travelers from an industry perspective. They're high spenders. They love to travel. They spend a lot in the city, in the hotel. So they're a good. They're a good target segment for any major economy that's focused on travel, whether it's Europe, America, Asia, any major hotel chain, any major airline. These are good customers in
And
general.
also, people don't realize it's a large population.
Yeah, it's relatively large compared to with high disposable income. Obviously, not large to India, China, etc., but it's the largest in the region, in the Middle East, the GCC, over 30 million residents, and I think 20 million Saudis. That's the first part. So it's a very good segment for travel. The first from a disposable income and spending. The second part is from a inbound perspective. Of course, Saudi has a unique position with the home to the two holy sites, which is let's say 1.5 to 2 billion people in the world would at some point, for those that are practicing, would come and visit.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility on the country and the ecosystem, but also again, the opening up has really seen an improvement in accessibility for for Muslims around the world. And the third part is, I think, from a business perspective in general, there's a lot of opportunity in Saudi, a lot of investment coming in, and vice versa. The way I think you'll find in general with this region, Saudi in particular, is it's a lot of reciprocal. So if you take a simple example of visa regimes, the easier the visa regime is for Saudis, the easier it is for Saudis to give visas. It's a way to keep things going. So it's a business transaction and a strategic partnership. A lot of the travel is related to the trade of the economy, the relationships between countries. So, and you see that Saudi growing, or even the region, UAE, Saudi, Qatar, are growing on the global stage from being economic powerhouses, political powerhouses, even though they're small in size, very influential. And travel is just another element of their influence.
Um, Fascinating. You mentioned the visa opening up of Saudi to people coming in and opening up of Saudis going elsewhere. Um, we won't get into this part, but I think the world knows the previous history with Saudi, um, some unfortunate history in terms of perception. Do you think, in terms of visa regimes opening up for Saudi travelers, since you are the ones who send Saudi travelers outside, you are the biggest movers, private sector movers of people outside Saudi. How have you seen that change, say, in the last 3 years? Because it's changing very fast, right?
Yep. I mean, one of the biggest examples is the UK. The UK used to be a traditional visa process, leave your passport at the embassy process, going through VFS or one of the service providers. And now it's an ETA. It's a form online you fill out, and you fill it out for Saudis. We've seen a massive increase in Saudis traveling to London. Already, London was a very popular destination for Saudis, both because of business, the economic, and also school. A lot of them study there. Actually, now you're seeing it even more. You're seeing families that weren't able to go before go, and it's a new segment of travel, and vice versa. Schengen is still not it's not fully open, but there's talk that it's going to be opening. I think early next year. The GCC travel is almost free and easy to do, of course. But other part American visas are much easier for Saudi than maybe they used to be. They give 5, 10 year visas to the America to America for Saudis.
Is it not as backed up like I know you? I'm sure you know the India. I don't know if what it is in Pakistan, but the backed up, how backed up it
No,
is.
it's not as bad. The American visa is not so hard for Saudis.
Okay.
And then I think China is easy. South China also got the Chinese can come to Saudi quite easily. So I think in general you're seeing this openness of travel. And then the other thing is there's a lot of initiative by the government and the Ministry of Tourism to improve air connectivity. Before you couldn't connect to Saudi very easily. You'd have to go through Dubai, Doha, Abu Dhabi, or Turkey, and then Saudi Airlines flew. But now you have Saudi flying us, you have Virgin Atlantic, you have a lot of airlines coming into Saudi, creating improved connectivity, not only to the holy cities and the airport Jeddah and Medina, but actually across the kingdom. And I think you've probably everyone's heard the statistics. Like within 4 to 6 hours of this region, you have 4 billion people, and that's going to continue. It's going to keep growing.
So your Almosafer spin-off, what was the sorry, into a unit and then potential IPO coming? How does it parallel sort of the larger trends that you're seeing that you just talked about?
Yeah, I think look when the group took the initiative to acquire Almosafer and invest in this we call at the time an OTA, we thought it was a way to diversify away from traditional paper-based business and legacy. But we saw great traction. Then we saw let's take this same mindset and bring it to business travel. Let's take the same mindset and bring it to religious travel, into leisure travel with the opening of the kingdom. We have this kind of ecosystem, this platform that we built. At the same time, we've been fortunate. The group was fortunate even during COVID. We had a very successful exit of Kareem to Uber, where we were the largest shareholder. That helped us. That helped us in a sense survive COVID, but also survive and grow. So we were investing during COVID. We're taking the chance to rebuild our technology. Just to give you some context, we started essentially the online unit in 2015 with sales of zero. By 2019, we were at $1 billion in turnover, and then 2020 happened. So during the first 5 years, we were just on growth mode. We never took a chance to optimize our systems, our processes, and actually, even during COVID, of course, there was a downturn, and we had to unfortunately let some people go. But we were hiring by July 2020. We started hiring again. We were investing in our technology. We actually opened our technology center and took some of our biggest initiatives during COVID.
What was the reset that happened during COVID? I think it seems like a lot of countries, and I know this particularly for India, where domestic really just got unlocked in so many different ways. What was the switch that happened in Saudi?
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand, as we talked earlier, the context of Saudi. Saudis really, really love to travel. However, pre-COVID, I would say majority of domestic travel was primarily for 2 or 3 reasons: either religious to visit the holy cities, visit family and friends for a wedding or a funeral or some kind of occasion, or kind of business travel between cities. Or there was never it was not a significant portion of leisure domestic travel.
That's because culturally the society was more, I can say this, restrictive. and now as the opening up of the society, the aspirations have increased. People are now more connected to the world. Internet is there, digital channels, etc., etc. So there's this aspirational unlock in Indians. I'm sure it's similar in Saudis, for
Yeah,
instance.
I think that's part of it. Also, at the same time, the government took strong initiatives to actually create destinations for domestic tourism. Of course, we know that there's the religious sites, but there was never an alula that was really there for creating events. There was never a Riyadh season or a Jeddah season. So what happened in COVID is it's kind of like a positive long-term trend that unfortunately there's COVID and a lot of people and a lot of businesses went under and a lot of people passed away and were impacted. But the long-term impact was domestic tourism became not just a blip. It was actually an investment that was done by the country to create domestic tourism as a significant leisure travel, not just to visit your friends and family, but also explore different cities. Many people haven't explored Saudi Arabia, even from Saudi, parts of Saudi. You know, I can tell you some interesting. There's parts of Saudi Arabia that in the summer are cooler than Europe. People wouldn't expect that, right? And if you go to the south, so people got a chance to actually they weren't able to travel internationally. However, not like many other countries, not like China or not like Europe or US. Actually, it was pretty open. You had to be, vaccinated in mass, but you could travel. You could fly.
Yeah,
Flights were operating. Offices were open. People were going to work. There was just some restrictions, so people got a chance to explore. I think they liked that. And then we saw that Saudi opened up. Domestic travel became interesting, but even as it opened up, the domestic investments, the entertainment, the events, the different exhibitions that happen, the different sites are starting to come live, and people still enjoy that. So we didn't see a drop in domestic being cannibalized by international. We saw them both grow. So travel in general is growing from the region.
right. And so Almosafer now is this various units, and and Sira did the IPO of the rental car unit last year or the year before.
The year before, September 23.
Yeah, Lumi, is that? Am I?
Lumi, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. And then so you are on the deck next, I guess. Is that driven more by Sierra or by you? Or like, so what's the motivation behind that?
Yeah, I think no, the motivation, it's not by me. I think in general, the investors and Sierra, the shareholders have been, made a significant investment in Almosafer, and we believe that, it can be monetized through an IPO. We can return value. We've created a lot of value, we believe. Business has grown, it's mature. We're on our way to maturity, I would say. So within the next, I would say 12 to 18 months, we would be on our path to inshallah, being listed on the Saudi Stock Exchange. It would allow investors to have shareholders to have returns from their investment and let the market decide, the future. There's very little access to a direct travel company in Saudi Arabia. Sierra Group is a travel company. We have hotels, we have car rental, we have other businesses. We have Flynas going live, going for the IPO very
That'd
soon.
be incredible. That's a
Uh,
very highly anticipated IPO.
Yep. Yeah, but
Yeah,
again, it's a different access to travel. It's an asset based kind of, the planes and the assets. Whereas I would say the first pure travel company that's purely a travel agency model primarily. That's very linked to tourism with technology. That would be public, and we think we're seeing a lot of interest, but it's still early. We're going through the process. The group has the strategy, and hopefully, within the next 12 to 18 months, we would be public.
and is there? This is my naive question. Is there any appetite for listing outside of Saudi, or you think Saudi for now, because of the investor base and the people that understand it, makes more sense?
Honestly, we never even thought about outside. I couldn't really comment on that, but from our side, it's in Saudi, and we have international investors are very active in the region. You have U.S. investors, you have the sovereign wealth funds from all over the world active, and we don't see anything else besides Saudi Arabia right now listing in Saudi.
And so currently, the business of Al Musafir, how much is it offline versus online, and sort of what are um, some counterintuitive things that we would not even think of
Yeah, I
here?
mean, so our biggest unit is our consumer travel business, which is around last year did around $1.5 billion in gross booking value. It's around 70% flights and then 30% non-air. One of the interesting facts about the Saudi travel market, and we went a bit against the grain here. In 2019, we launched an omni-channel strategy because we were purely in OTA, but we saw a big opportunity for the we call kind of retail market, which is our we define in our terms retail is the physical branches, agencies. We have a call center, and we have a significant portion actually done via WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a
I
channel
was
for us for
remember
sales.
you when I came to your office. You showed me a lot of people sitting in this room. Not It's not a room; it was a big office. Were basically responding to WhatsApp queries. I think.
Yeah. Yep. WhatsApp is a fully integrated into our ecosystem. We saw it as an opportunity, and actually this came from the team. We started with random WhatsApp numbers and just trying to see what happens, but actually it scaled so fast that we really institutionalized WhatsApp into a service and a sales platform. Now we're looking to bring AI and kind of all that kind of more advanced into our WhatsApp, but it's a way for because 60% of the bookings in Saudi Arabia for consumers are online. 40% are still quote unquote offline. So there's a lot of
By the way, that
requests, a
number
lot
has
of
changed very, very quickly to 60. 60 is very quick because it used to be, 20% or something a few years
yeah,
ago.
yeah. The market's growing, but the online share is capturing. But what we're seeing is there's still the same person might book online for something they know they're going to Mecca. They know where to go. They know the flight and the hotel. They might know where they're going in Dubai or London. But when they're going on a trip with their family in Switzerland, they need help to figure out where to go. They've never been there before. They want some advice. So we're very, very much on the advisory side, whether even in our online platform, but also in our WhatsApp or call center. People will call for getting high touch service. The typical order spend in Saudi Arabia is higher. 80% of our bookings are still 4 and 5 star. Yes, there's a growth in alternative accommodation or in 3 star, etc. But almost 80% are 4 and 5 star. So they're sending high ticket sizes. The other interesting fact I think it was very hard for the rest of the world from travel trade to understand is it's a very last minute business. So our average booking window for the whole year is about 10 days.
Wow.
So people aren't planning their summers that far in advance. 40% of our hotel bookings are 48 hours or less.
Wow. So how do you, your anybody who builds a business is based on predictability, booking windows, all the stuff that we talk about here. Booking windows in general post COVID have shrunk in an on-demand world where Uber, etc., have sort of changed how people behave. But Saudis and anywhere east of Saudi, including the country I come from, is very last-minute society. Um, and I guess it lends itself very much to a digital environment in any case. But like, how do you then build predictability into your business?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a challenge, right? We try to kind of bring bookings forward. We work with different partners and enticing marketing campaigns and offers to plan early. But I think you have to also know that this is the setup. You've seen one of the simple things that happened is Saudi previously before COVID, school holidays were twice a year. You had the Saudi National Day, you have Eid, you have the Ramadan Eid, and you have the Eid al Adha, which is during Hajj, and that was it. Now almost every weekend, every month, you have a holiday. So you're able to we don't predict the early booking. We predict when we know when we're going to get the spikes because we base it on 15 to 7 to 12 days before the holidays. At the same time, we've built our ecosystem and our processes around this. So before we were always reliant on, let's say, bed banks or those to get our hotel inventory. We've actually connected dynamically with over 30 chains. We have Marriott, we have Hilton, we have Mandarin Oriental, we have 32 global
Yeah,
chains
I saw the
on it.
Wyndham announcement recently. You
Yeah,
guys,
and Wyndham as well, and we have more coming, right? So by being dynamically connected, we have better availability, last minute availability, better pricing. We've built certain processes and certain tools to ensure secure last minute rooms availability, which has been it's a big challenge for Saudi. And we know that Booking.com is kind of the best at this because they have connectivity with all the hotels. But our job is to find differentiators, and that's one that we focus on.
what's the business unit you're most excited about today, and why?
Yeah, look, I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, to be honest, they're all really exciting. I won't say. I would say from if I look at it from a growth perspective, say consumer travel is our core. It's our big horse that accounts for 75% of our sales this year. It's not going to stay 75, but it's still going to grow at a massive 200 $300 million a year, 15 20%. We're seeing growth, so that's kind of going to always be a baby you can't let go. You got to always keep monitoring. At the same time, if I look at growth and I look at where the opportunity is, at least in the short term, the next 3 years, I really see an opportunity in the religious travel space. We've done some great work, and we see a lot of improvement in accessibility, availability, digitization of the whole religious tourism
Yeah,
processes.
which they've
You
done.
actually,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I was in Mecca the last 10 days of Ramadan. It's the first time in 15 years you see without cranes. It means there's a lot of progress being made on construction, a lot more organization being involved on the ground, ease of access. The railroad, Haramain Rail is available now. So I see that the low hanging fruit, huge opportunity to really, really transform religious tourism into the kingdom from all over the world. And I think that's really exciting for me personally. That's kind of then I see the next 3 years after that really leisure tourism. It's still in its early days. Saudi's opened up. I would say a lot of the current leisure tourism is still business plus leisure. You might come for an event and then you spend a few days, which is still great. It's a great opportunity. People might come for religious and then spend a few days, but are they actually coming as leisure? It's time needed. There's great sites in Red Sea and Alula, but the more product that's coming to come alive in 27, 28, 29, coming leading up to the Expo and the World Cup, we see that as the next kind of frontier. So for me, every part of our business has a different journey. Even our corporate and government travel business, it's always boring. People say the boring TMC, but there's a lot of exciting work happening in digitizing that. And we used to be fully paper based, old legacy kind of style working in government. We've digitized over 50% of our transactions. We're bringing like a consumer flavor to the business world, and there's a lot of interest. So all businesses are have their own exciting past, but I think priorities are key. We have to prioritize.
Of course, yeah. I have so many questions. Oh my God, all the stuff you said. But let's tell the anecdote you told me about the world's most profitable route that nobody pays attention to.
I mean, so this region, given the demand, in general, from what Riyadh, Dubai is one of the most expensive and profitable routes in the world.
Yeah,
But
few people understand that part outside, like,
yeah,
in this part of the world.
yeah, Riyadh, Dubai, especially the business class. I mean, the business class flights from Riyadh to Dubai or vice versa, given the amount of trade, the amount of that happens between these two countries, and the business travel that's going on, it's sometimes $4,000 or $5,000 for a 1 hour flight, where you can fly business class to rest of Europe and the world, very very for a lower price.
For
Riyadh Jeddah is one, yeah. Riyadh Jeddah is one of the busiest routes in the world. I mean, the busiest, of course, Singapore, KL, but it's one of the top 10. Jeddah Cairo is also one of the busiest routes in the world. So there's huge demand of traffic, and I think it's only going to increase. Investments in new airports, in new airlines, it's going to increase.
what's your sense of, in the journey of the opening up of Saudi? There's obviously lots of aspirations, intentions. Um, there have been some setbacks, and now a rewiring of some of the projects and some of the aspirations. Uh, in your sense, how should we in the West wrap our heads around ambition versus expectation versus reality, and the timeline that we're on?
Yeah, I think you said it first, right? It's ambitious. We know it's ambitious. I think no one will deny that's ambitious, but I think that's what drives not only this country, the Saudi, but also a lot of this part of the region is built on ambition. It's not built on, okay, let's be realistic. Let's have a vision that we know we're going to hit. Let's be ambitious. Let's think way beyond what anyone else would think. Yes, things might be slowing down, but the way I see it is, if you're going 1,000 miles per hour and you slow down to 900, you're still going 900 miles per hour. You're still going really, really fast. So the amount of investment in infrastructure, in projects, is in the trillions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars that I don't think anywhere else in the world is investing so much as these countries are, especially Saudi, UAE, Qatar, in their own country. Besides maybe China, probably China. If you see how the pace of China's growth now, it's probably the investments they made in manufacturing and roads and infrastructure. But beyond that, I don't see anyone else investing at that pace. And the difference is China has 1.2 billion people or 1.3 billion. They have a much smaller population, so the impact is much higher.
Much larger.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
are we one of the things that I think through, as since we do a lot of business in covered region, for now it's the building phase and the demand will come later phase. Is that the right way or the wrong way to look at it?
No, I think today there's certain pockets of demand that are already here. Domestic travel is huge demand. Regional travel for religious is still there. Demand is there. You got 17 million people coming for religious travel. So it's not like there's no demand. The exponential growth of maybe what we would call leisure demand from the quote unquote other parts of the world, whether it's west or east, that's probably the phase to come, and they're building for that. But there's already demand, so it's not like it's coming from nothing. They're building. There's demand here, and they're built. So it's a challenge because you have to serve the existing demand and make sure they're still being served and happy, while also building for significant growth in the future.
And since you grew up in the West, you're born in the West and went to Saudi. When you come to the West and you come often enough, not just West, you also go East, for instance, Southeast Asia or India, etc. And you go say, "I'm the CEO of this Saudi company, Almosafer." How has the reception and perception changed in your sort of personal opinion over the last, I don't know, 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think before, I mean, I don't want to stereotype, so I'll be a little bit, I'll be correct, but I would say before, probably if you were in the West, if you weren't, most people say, "Where's Saudi Arabia? What is it?" Oh, it's that country that, okay, there's the holy sites there for Muslims, but there's nothing else there, or it's a desert. Now people know. You have Ronaldo here. You have spokespeople, person like Messi. You have concerts. You have wrestle. WWE is here, so people know what Saudi Arabia is now. So that's the first change you see. People actually know where Saudi Arabia is. They know a little bit about it. I think that's the first. If you talk to someone who's, let's say, a corporate professional, either in the banking sector or in the travel sector, they know a lot more about Saudi than you would have than they were 5 years ago. Anyone in working for the major hotel chains has probably some kind of business or partnership here. Any major investment bank has a business deal here, is working on something. So I think the awareness has been massive. The other thing I would say is every time I've had we've either a tourist or a business come, they really, really, really. It's the only time they really believe the change.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
don't come, you might see it on TV, you might see it on media, you might see it on CNN or wherever news you follow, or you might read it on Skift. But until you actually visit, you understand the actual pace of change. You understand the future, how bright it could be. You understand that the culture, the people being really hospitable. I think you've personally seen it,
Yeah, I've
but
seen it.
I
Yeah.
think that's something that you don't really get until you actually visit it.
Yeah, that's the unlock that I think is the biggest challenge and opportunity for Saudi. Get them to land the first time, and it starts at the airport. I think they've carefully thought through the airport experience, the fact that majority of the people working at the airport, your first point of contact is likely going to be a Saudi woman, which people don't understand how serious the country is about elevating women in the workforce. And I know you have obviously done a lot of efforts in your company too. Um, this is a countrywide initiative that private sector has taken up. My cousin happens to be the CEO of a restaurant company in Saudi, and so and he has told me about like how much, like in marketing, they have to hire X%, and not just because it's a directive. It's because they know that, if I can say so myself, you don't have to say this. Uh, Saudi women that are educated are so smart and so global
Yeah.
and so driven. Um,
Yeah, no, women, even young men are. But I think what I would say is, yes, it's a mandate, but they're also giving you tools to support. They're giving you subsidies. They're giving you ways to support this. At the same time, they're investing in talent. You know, Ministry of Tourism, for example, is sending thousands of students, spending millions to top-notch schools to train them to be hospitality, tourism experts. So I think human capability development is a big initiative, and the country knows, the companies know that it won't work without the people.
What
And
what is the state of talent today? Like, what's your biggest pain point in terms of talent today as a CEO?
I think, to be very honest, the biggest challenge we have with talent is retention, because the opportunities are so big. You get young, smart Saudis, males, Saudi females. They have so many opportunities. They have so many opportunities now, and developing them, training them, and retaining them is key, right? You don't want to. As a private organization, I want to retain my people. I want to keep them. I want to grow, so that's been key. Um, but at the same time, there's a huge amount of workforce required. With the different projects happening, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of jobs that are going to be created. So building that at scale is also the next step. Not only hospitality talent, technology talent, finance, every kind of talent is going to be needed. So scaling all of that.
You mentioned technology investments. Where's your I mean, I'm going to ask the AI question, but that's such a generic question. Tell me
Yeah.
how you're thinking about AI as the CEO of a company, and what do you report back to the board? Is it at the board level or not at the board level yet?
Yes. So we've been playing, I would say, with AI from last year, but this year it's a board mandate for me to deliver, pilot, and test AI initiatives. We've identified 4 or 5 different streams of AI where we prioritize using AI.
Such as?
Partially, so yeah. So one is around pricing. So we believe a lot of dynamic pricing and capabilities are using AI for pricing. The second one is around marketing for both the content generation, but also bidding automation and kind of how to optimize our marketing spend. And of course, the third one is productivity of employees, whether that's in our call center, but even with our engineers. We're piloting a lot of initiatives to drive productivity. I don't personally see it. I'm not here to say that we're going to use AI to cut jobs. We're going to use AI to make people more productive. We want our one call center agent or our one customer care agent or one of our developers to be so much more productive, like they're doing 2 or 3 people's jobs, so we can grow more. Not so we can cut the cost. We can actually grow and invest and keep growing, keep innovating. Um, of course, you have to look at but we think we can do a lot more with the people we have. So that's what we're trying to focus on. And also, I think the other part is, I would say, employee in general, right? Make their lives easier. I think you and I were talking about writing up feedback for recruiting interviews. People spend so much time interviewing people, but they spend too much time. How can we make their day-to-day life easier? Simple things that make the employee life easier, make it a fun place to work. We want to use AI. I think we have 25 or 30 different initiatives across these channels, and we're live. But we're not, the customer facing thing is probably the last, the last part. Pure customer change the entire interface of how to search for a booking. I think that's going to take time. But we're doing AI and reviews now. We have our own like AI summary of reviews that summarizes all the reviews, tailored for the Saudi customer. So not tailored so it's tailored for Arabic, tailored for the Saudi customer to show that we're localizing, and we're bringing best in class, but for the customer, not just consolidating reviews from around the world and bringing it to the customer.
Let me ask this question. Uh, a lot of attention on AI is focused on English language, for instance. What have you like? Is it easy enough in Arabic today, or you still have to?
I think there's 2 types of Arabic. So there's the spoken Arabic that you would speak in a call center or that you may type on a WhatsApp as there, and there's the formal Arabic, which might be on the website. So the formal Arabic, or the more written Arabic that's from a website or an application or a marketing ad, I think that's okay. The localized, the dialects of that, the local lingo, I think that's still going to take time.
That's still going to take time, and I guess a lot of development will happen at your level, or will it happen at the, I don't know, OpenAI level?
I think both, right? I mean, you saw at when Donald Trump came in the U.S. Sam Altman was here, Saudi AWS was here, Elon Musk was here. There's a lot of AI initiatives happening at the country level, with the global partners. But I think there will be a big focus on localization in the country and the region.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we can keep on talking. I think I wanna wrap it up because you and I can keep talking for hours. In terms of sort of where you see in sort of 2-3 years your company post IPO, how are you thinking about, I don't know, post 3 years IPO, and what would your, I mean, I'm sure as you file with the bank, you need to have a future vision because that's what you're selling to investors. Um, how are you
Yeah,
thinking?
yeah. Look, so I think to be honest, that's something we're looking at now. We have released, about a year ago, kind of our 3 year plan from 24 to 27, and that we're seeing kind of consistent mid to upper teens growth on the top line, and greater than 50% growth on our EBITDA annually.
Mm.
So
And you're
CAGRs of
profitable as a company.
we are profitable. Yes, we are profitable, and we're seeing that growth. I think for me the biggest challenge is because there's so many opportunities. We're going to need to take some bets and some big bets. And what we're trying to evaluate is what are the big bets we want to take for the next 3 years post 27 to 30. Because 27 to 30 for me is the real test for Saudi Arabia's opening up,
That's
right?
a great point.
Yeah, so that's where we want to figure out. So we built the foundation and the capabilities, and we're very confident of our next 3 years. We're also confident in the future, but what's the big bet we want that's going to shift us? So I would say 24, 25, 20. The big bet was for us a shift into religious tourism and digitizing the. So what's the next big bet for us that we want to take besides our core businesses, which are growing well? But what's that second? That's something that we're evaluating. We're seeing a lot of interest in sports, the sports travel, the
And you
sports
guys,
events.
I remember calling you, and you were with a Saudi hockey team or something.
So we provide services for travel related services for a lot of sports, the famous sports clubs in Saudi, the football clubs, like the different clubs. We are a sponsor of one of the largest clubs in Saudi, but also we provide services to the ministry for their sport when the sports athletes travel. So it's something that it's not something that you would naturally expect, but actually it's travel so integral to sports.
It's a
They're very
big,
linked.
of course, it's a huge part of travel, which
Yeah.
only
Now.
now people are realizing how embedded travel is into sports
Exactly.
worldwide. And
Yeah.
I would say, I would humbly say, Saudi has a part in it because of how high profile events have come to Saudi and people have started paying notice to it.
Yeah, F1. I was at F1 in Jeddah. It was amazing. It started in Bahrain, then Abu Dhabi, and now Jeddah, and soon it'll move to Qiddiya and Riyadh in 27 or 28. So you see, and that's where you get the first set of people to get a flavor for Saudi. Expats are coming. Their World Cup is coming in 34, but you have Spanish Super. So the sports is a great way to entry and people to explore a country.
Yeah, no, very smart. Well, Muzzammil, thank you for your time and such a wide-ranging conversation. I hope people understand and get a taste of sort of what's to come in the next few years. And as you said, I think I want to end at this nugget that you said at the end, which is 27 to 30 is the real test for the region itself, I would say, but also Saudi particularly, because a lot of capacity and stuff is being built now. Um, but there's an existing demand. And personally, I think your focus on religious travel and enhancing that experience is very interesting to me personally for all the reasons you and I know as Muslims ourselves and as families. My family, half of my family lives there. And so it's become so much easier to visit, etc. So thank you again. And I hope to see you on a Skift stage again very soon, Muzzammil.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Skift Travel Podcast. Wherever you're listening, please make sure to subscribe. If you like what you're hearing, rate us 5 stars or leave us a positive review. It really helps get the word out about us, our podcast, and make sure that we can still continue to bring it to you free of charge every week.
If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell as well. That way you'll know every time we have a new episode.